Disappointing news on the Chicago Bears front. We'll discuss that on this episode of the Halas Huddle podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Halas Huddle podcast. Here are your hosts.
The middle of the 15 to the 20, breaks free of the 25 to the 30, to the outside, 40, midfield, 40, 30 on the coast, 20, 15, Hester 5, touchdown Bears!
What's up, Halas Huddlers? This episode was not planned for tonight. Some disappointing news hit today, this afternoon during the NFL Combine. It was reported that the Kansas City Chiefs are expected to franchise tag Trey Smith. Trey Smith, if you recall, for anyone who has seen our mock offseason episodes, we had actually talked. I had said, look, there's a real good chance he does not get to free agency. I said that the salary cap is not as big of an issue as people are making it out to be, especially people who are within the Chicago Bears fandom. And then I prefaced it with, hey, this is a mock offseason. We're going to have some fun. He's going to hit free agency in our mock offseason. So that's what I did. That's what we did. And we signed him to a massive contract, right? Unfortunately, that does not look to be the case. It looks like he's going to remain in Kansas City. I will say, though, they did something similar with Snead last year, right? Tadarius Snead. They did franchise tag him, and then things did not work out, and they ended up trading him. I'm not sure if I want the Chicago Bears giving up, high draft capital as much as I want Trey Smith. I don't think I want the Bears giving up high draft capital and then have to pay him, $22 million a year. He was a 6th round draft pick. Ryan Poles was actually there in Kansas City when he was drafted. And I almost wonder if you're better off trying to get someone or solve that problem through the draft. Okay. Teams that build through the draft are teams that sustain success. I really want the Bears to sustain success. And there are some really good interior offensive linemen that you can get in the 1st and 2nd round this year. So I think in that regard, I'm fine with the situation. It sucks. It really does. I think Trey Smith is a great player. He deserves to set the market. And he would have been a great fit here in Chicago. And I have it on good authority that Trey Smith was in the plans had he reached free agency. So it will be interesting to see now how the Chicago Bears pivot. Okay? How will Ryan Poles pivot? How will Ben Johnson pivot? Okay. Before we get into that, and by the way, the Halas Huddle is going to pivot. We have our recap episode coming up. But before we get into that, I just want to say, please hit the subscribe button. You guys have been awesome over the last few weeks with these mock off-season episodes. We want to keep bringing more content. In fact, Bob and I are prepped to do another podcast tomorrow night that will either release Friday night or Saturday morning. We're going to talk about some of the things that have come up in the Combine with different interviews and rumors that are going on. So we're going to do a news and noise section that we haven't done in a bit. So that'll be for tomorrow. And then we have our recap episode coming up with our drawing for the Chicago Bears jersey. So if you haven't already, and you want to be entered into the Chicago Bears jersey or NFL jersey giveaway, what you need to do, okay, is go check out our 3-part series. It's our mock off-season series. There's 3 episodes. You'll see it. It's real easy. It says mock off season on it. It says part 1, part 2, part 3. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Go to the comment section on each video and comment Huddle Up. That's it. You will get 3 entries, 1 entry for every video that you comment Huddle Up on. Now, I will say March 1st is the cutoff. So at the end of the day or the end of the night, March 1st, I will be going through and marking down who has subscribed and who has commented Huddle Up on each episode. And you will get a tick for every single one. And then we will do our drawing, determine who's going to win that jersey. Okay, so you got a day and a half-ish to get this done. 24 to 48 hours-ish to get this done. So make sure you go do it. Okay, hit the subscribe button, make those comments, go do that now. Also, before we move on, I do want to say FOCO, which is a friend of the show, okay? FOCO has great NFL and other sports memorabilia. I love their Chicago Bears memorabilia. We've promoted a lot of their bobbleheads recently. They have come out with a new product, okay? This is a great product for game day, especially if you are, maybe going to a buddy's house to go watch the game. I will say this will not work at Soldier Field. Soldier Field has very strict rules for their bags. They need to be clear. So this will not work for the Chicago Bears stadium if you are going to the actual game. But if you're going to a buddy's house, or maybe you're just hanging out at home, this is a little fanny pack that attaches to your tumbler. Okay. I use my tumbler for more than water. Okay. This is whiskey and Coke. I drink it, actually Coke Zero. I drink it consistently on the show. I constantly put my alcohol in there. I go to Disney. I sneak my alcohol into Magic Kingdom because it's a dry park. This is an adult show, explicit show, so it's okay to say these things. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't promote alcoholism. However, good whiskey now and then, good beer now and then. Tumblers are fantastic for that. Attach this little fanny pack to your tumbler. It can hold all of the contents that you might need. Head on over to your buddy's house. Support the team. It's fantastic, right? All right. I will have the link to this in the description. So if you're looking to go find this on FOCO's website, it'll be in the description of this video. Go check that out. Also, if you're looking to do some betting, we have our own promotional page. Okay. This is not specific just for Illinois. So if you're looking to do some betting, head on over to our sign up page, which is sponsored by BetStamp. Okay. signupexpert.com/huddle. Okay. And you just choose your state and it'll show you all of the sports betting books or sports books in your region. It'll also give you DFS sites. Go check those out. It's got the best odds and sign up offers that you can find. Okay. Go check those out. Baseball season's right around the corner. You can go make some bets on baseball. All right. How are the Chicago Bears going to pivot now that Trey Smith looks to be completely off the market? Okay. How are the Halas Huddlers? Okay. How are Bob, Justin, and I are going to pivot on our mock off season? We are going to make some adjustments prior to our recap show. Okay. That's going to give you exactly where we ended up with free agency, re-signings, roster cuts, and specifically it'll have our starting lineups and the draft. Okay. Our mock draft. Now, with Trey Smith off the market, Kevin Zeitler becomes, to me, the top target for this team. If Kevin Zeitler is not going to be brought back to Detroit and he decides to continue playing football, he is on the older side. Obviously has a connection with Ben Johnson. Kevin Zeitler needs to be the target. And here is why. He can be a 1 to 2 year stopgap. He can be your bridge offensive guard. You sign him, put him at right guard. You have a legit player on your team who's familiar with this offense. He's not going to be a Nate Davis type of situation. You put him there next to Darnell Wright. That right side will be fantastic for 2025, possibly 2026, depending on how long you decide to sign him, how long he plans on playing for. Okay, that to me is your target. He's going to cost significantly less. It's going to open up the possibility for you to spend more on your defensive ends. We didn't really attack defensive tackle in our free agency episode. We didn't attack defensive tackle that at all in our mock draft. We are going to use some of that extra salary cap now to add an additional signing for our recap show. It'll be notated in that show. But the situation now is Kevin Zeitler needs to be your top target. If Kevin Zeitler isn't going to want to play, or maybe he decides, maybe Detroit wants to bring him back and he decides, I want to try to ride this out and try to finish my career here. We've had a good run. Let's see if we can, make it to the Super Bowl, win a Super Bowl. Then you got guys like Will Fries. You got Mekhi Becton, who had a fantastic year playing guard for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's had some issues with weight. He's had some issues when he was playing tackle for the Jets. So if he's willing to continue to play as a guard, you could bring him in. But those three are the three big names. There's been some other rumors going on with the center position. So with Trey Smith potentially being off the market, there's rumors that Drew Dalman really wants a big salary bump for wherever he signs. Now, if you recall back on our mock offseason episode, we signed Drew Dalman to our team. Spot Track actually had him market at $6.8 million for a 3-year deal, $6.8 million per year. We didn't think that was fair, so we actually bumped that up. I want to say it was either 8.5. In fact, I have it here, so why don't I just not guess? We signed him to an AAV of $8.5 million, 3 years, $25.5 million over those 3 years. That is not what he wants. Okay, rumors are he wants to reset the market. The top players right now, there's Creed Humphreys, which in my opinion is one of the best centers in football. Okay, he's got $18 million per year. If Drew Dalman thinks he's deserving of that, he's out of his mind. And I don't know for sure if that's the case, that the way that we would decide to go if that was the case. I don't even know if the league would give him that type of money. You can want whatever you want, but if the market's not going to pay you, the market's not going to pay you. I don't know if you recall, what was it, the 2020 or maybe the 2021 season. Allen Robinson wanted big money. Allen Robinson didn't get big money. Allen Robinson's career went down the toilet. Okay. When Mitch Trubisky doesn't force feed you the football 120 times in a year, apparently you're not as good. Okay. So he can want what he wants. This is my mock off season. This is Bob's mock off season. This is Justin's mock off season. We are going to bump up that salary though, based on this. We will talk about it and discuss that on the recap show, but that will be bumped up probably about 14-15 million per year. Okay. That puts him not at the top, but it does put him in the top-ish, right? Top 5 for AAV. So yes, this is some pretty big news that came out over the course of the last, 12-ish hours. The biggest news, obviously, the Trey Smith news. Hit the comment section. What do you guys want the Chicago Bears to do now with Trey Smith not being there? I will say we at Halas Huddle signed Trey Smith, but don't forget, we brought back Bill Murray, who actually played pretty well last year before getting hurt as a backup. But we addressed the interior line in our mock offseason. We brought in Tyler Booker. We brought in Donovan Jackson, 2 interior offensive linemen. One that, you figure you play the best out of those 2. The second one would be a backup behind Trey Smith and the other rookie. We addressed it. We fixed that problem. or at least on paper, we fix that problem. Okay. Draft prospects, you never clearly know. I think, again, the draft is where you need to build. So let us know in the comment section. How are you going to solve the problem now with Trey Smith not on the market? Do you want Zeitler? Do you agree that Zeitler is the guy? Is there a different offensive guard? Do you want them to bring back Tevin Jenkins in this situation? People are saying Jonah Jackson is available for trade from the Rams. He's had injury issues just like Tevin Jenkins, so why not just bring back Tevin Jenkins, right? If you're going to make that move, that just makes zero sense to me because now you're giving up draft capital on top of it. There's other guys out there. What if you bring back Daniel Jones? Is he willing to come back here? Not Daniel Jones. Oh my gosh. Not Josh Daniels either. Why am I blanking on his name? Oh my goodness. James Daniels. Goodness. See, didn't even have to look it up. James Daniels. Maybe you're going to bring back James Daniels. Okay. Still young guard. I don't know how that situation would play out here with Poles, but maybe you bring him back. There's definitely some options out there. It's not the best interior market, but there are options. There are other options at center too, guys. I mean, there really is. I mean, there's rumors Ryan Kelly's probably going to retire, so that's probably not going to be an option. But there are some other guys that could be available, okay, that might make sense. I've seen Evan Brown's name thrown out there out of the Cardinals, who's played with Ben Johnson in the past. I will say I'm not thrilled if that ends up being the case, and I would almost just say bring back Coleman Shelton. I think I'm on record already for saying Coleman Shelton wouldn't be a bad option. So if you're going to bring back Coleman Shelton, but you upgrade those 2 interior guard spots, I think that's okay as a stopgap. I think maybe you look to the draft to try to get another center. Don't forget, we have the kid out of Arkansas that is on the bench. I'm blanking on his name right now. I've said it before. Was a guy that I was intrigued with a couple years ago. Last year, coming out of the draft. So there's still ways to improve this line. The draft is one of them. Will Campbell? Could Will Campbell drop to 10? Kelvin Banks, do you move him to interior? Could he be an option? There's definitely guys. Okay. Zabel, Booker, Donovan Jackson, the kid out of Arizona who's I can never pronounce, but projects more as an interior, but is versatile to also play tackle. Maybe he's the guy you go after in the second round. There are options. Definitely options. So again, let us know in the comment section. How are you going to solve this? How are you going to fix this? How upset are you? How disappointed are you? Would you trade for Trey Smith if the Chiefs look to do, the same thing that they did with Snead last year? Maybe they can't get a deal worked out. Maybe they're not willing to pay him the franchise tag, which I think is between 23 or 25 million per year. What's the situation like for you guys? Okay. Who are some other draft picks you might be considering now that Trey Smith isn't going to be the option? What happens if they can't get any decent guard in free agency? What happens if you get another, Cody Whitehair? I know he wasn't a free agent that they signed, or a Lucas Patrick. Does that mean Ryan Bates stays on the roster even though he's barely played? I hope not. I don't think he's good enough. I want this team to be better. I want upgrades. I'm tired of trying to convince myself of these guys that look okay, but just aren't good. I'm tired of it. I want this team to become a powerhouse. I want this team to consistently beat the Packers. I want this team to consistently beat the Vikings. I want this team to consistently beat the Lions. Ben Johnson's supposed to make this thing different. Let's see it actually happen. All right. Again, I appreciate all of the additional subscribers that we've had over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. Make sure you get into this contest before the drawing is up. More draft content to come. I have been putting together my draft rankings, and I plan to go through those. I plan to go through some positional, more in-depth type videos. It's just a matter of finding the time to do it, trying to make sure that I see these measurements at the combine, because we see things, for example, Shamar Stewart, okay, he was listed at 287, I think, for Texas A&M, 290 in some places. I believe his actual official weight was 267. Now, I know guys can cut weight prior to the combine, but that's a big difference. And his RAS score, I think he's the first one to get a 10 for this draft class. So check that out on social media. I know you can find the RAS score. I believe he got a 10. Here's the thing. Here's the insider thing for Shamar Stewart. I would not draft him before pick number 25 at all. And I have a second round grade on him, and I'm leaning towards not even drafting him in the first round. And the reason being is his production. He has 4.5 sacks over his career in college. Okay, 4.5 sacks. Production means something. His intangibles, the way he looks amazing, right? He's not as fast as I think some people want to project him as. He might come off faster with his 40 time now that we see, with the weight difference. But when I watch his film, he's not as fast as like the Mike Greens, which I think Mike Green actually has the most explosive quick step off the line in this draft. Abdul Carter would be probably the second closest to that. We want to talk defensive ends. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but I've been talking about it on social media, so I'm a little excited. But yeah, James Pierce, I know some people are really, really high on him. Here's the thing. I don't think he's a 4-3 defensive end. People are like, why? Well, it's not just because he's only 240, 245. There's guys out there that can do that. Micah Parsons is smaller. Abdul Carter is smaller. Mike Green is smaller, right? Like those guys, I see those two more as a 4-3 defensive end. I do. I see James Pierce playing a little bit more like a Micah Parsons, even though Parsons can put his hand on the ground and get around. The difference I see is James Pierce doesn't have the strength to play as a 4-3 end, because you're going to get eaten up by the bigger, tougher, stronger offensive tackles, and he doesn't have the strength to get off of those. He uses his speed. He doesn't have the bend to get around the edge. If he does get tangled up, I don't think his counter moves are good enough. So yeah, James Pierce to me, and I said in my other video, as far as like who to look for as a top 10 pick, he was on the outskirts. I think I only had 6, maybe 7 guys. He was on the outskirts of someone who is worthy of a top 10 pick, an honorable mention. But he's, and I'm making 2 lists. I'm making 2 big boards. I'm making a big board for the NFL. I'm making a big board specifically for the Chicago Bears. I do this every year. He would be much lower on the big board for the Chicago Bears than he would be for the NFL, because I just don't see him fitting the system. Okay. These are the things we're going to talk about. We still have, 2 months before the draft is done. We got to see how free agency plays out, but a lot more content to come. I'm just rambling now. Show is done. Huddle up, everybody. Again, thank you. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit those comments. For now, let's bear down, claws up. Till next time.